Few names in history carry the weight and mystery of William Shakespeare. Born in 1564, in the market town of Stratford-upon-Avon, he would go on to become the most celebrated playwright and poet in the English language. But who was the man behind the works, and how did his genius shape literature and theatre for centuries to come? William Shakespeare entered the world in April 1564, baptized in Stratford-upon-Avon. It was a time of great uncertainty. England was ruled by Queen Elizabeth I, who had come to the throne just 6 years earlier, after the religious turmoil of her half-siblings Edward VI and Mary I. Elizabeth was working to steady the realm, torn between Protestants and Catholics. The year of Shakespeare's birth was shadowed by plague, which ravaged Stratford. Survival itself was uncertain. Yet amid instability, England was finding its way toward a new age, one of exploration, trade, and art. Growing up, Shakespeare lived in a world balancing tradition and change. His father, John Shakespeare, was a respected tradesman and alderman, but fortunes in Tudor England could rise and fall quickly. At school, William learned Latin classics, Ovid, Cicero, Virgil. These were not just academic lessons, but tools to understand a world where England was asserting itself against Catholic Europe, and where humanism, the study of classical texts, was reshaping thought. At 18, William Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, who was 26, 8 years his senior. In Elizabethan England, it was more common for men to be older than their brides, so this age difference was unusual and has fueled centuries of speculation about their relationship. Their first child, Susanna, was born 6 months later, followed by twins Hamnet and Judith in 1585. After this, records of Shakespeare's life grow scarce, and historians refer to this period as the lost years. Scholars have debated what he might have been doing. Some suggest he traveled, studied, or began working in the theatre. During these years, England itself faced political and religious tension. Queen Elizabeth I's refusal to marry left questions of succession unanswered, creating anxiety among the nobility and commoners alike. Catholic plots against her were frequent, and the threat of Spain, a powerful Catholic nation, loomed over the country. This atmosphere of uncertainty and cautious optimism shaped the society Shakespeare grew up in, a society he would later reflect in his plays. Though little is known of his personal activities, these years unfolded against a backdrop of a nation navigating religious division, political intrigue, and the rise of London as a cultural and economic centre. Shakespeare's experiences during this time would later inform his understanding of power, loyalty, and human ambition in his works. By the early 1590s, Shakespeare had arrived in London, a city alive with energy, commerce, and culture. London was the largest city in England, a hub for trade and exploration, with the Thames crowded with ships carrying goods from across Europe and beyond. Its streets were bustling, but crowded living conditions and poor sanitation meant outbreaks of plague were common, often closing theatres for months at a time. Politically, England had just faced one of its greatest threats, the Spanish Armada in 1588. The failed invasion boosted national pride and cemented Elizabeth I's authority, fostering a sense of optimism and confidence that reverberated through London's streets. Yet, underlying this prosperity were anxieties about succession, religious tension between Protestants and Catholics, and the lingering memory of civil unrest. Culturally, London was experiencing a renaissance. Theatres were thriving, drawing audiences from every social class. Writers, actors, and musicians flocked to the city, seeking opportunity in its vibrant artistic scene. It was in this dynamic, sometimes dangerous, and always inspiring environment that Shakespeare began to establish himself. Around 1592 and 1593, his first plays, likely Henry VI, Part 1, and other early history plays, were performed in London. These early works, staged amid the threat of plague and the city's bustling, sometimes chaotic energy, introduced Shakespeare as a playwright to both audiences and critics. During theatre closures caused by plague, he also published poetry, including Venus and Adonis and The Rape of Lucrece, gaining recognition and patronage. London offered Shakespeare both the stage and the society that would shape his genius, as the city itself was a microcosm of the political, social, and cultural forces that would echo throughout his works. By 1594, Shakespeare was a founding member of the Lord Chamberlain's Men. His histories, like Richard III and Henry IV, resonated in a kingdom still haunted by civil war just a century earlier. Politics seeped into his plays. In Richard II, the deposition of a king mirrored Elizabeth's court anxieties over rebellion. It was so sensitive that the play was cited as inspiration by rebels during the Essex Rebellion of 1601. For Shakespeare, writing was never just entertainment, it was commentary on power, legitimacy, and the fate of nations. Elizabeth died in 1603, and James VI of Scotland became James I of England. Shakespeare's world shifted. Shakespeare's acting company, the Lord Chamberlain's Men, gained royal patronage and became the King's Men, a prestigious title that ensured both financial support and prominence in London's theatre scene. While there is no record that Shakespeare personally met either Queen Elizabeth I or King James I, his works were performed for them, and he wrote with the monarchy in mind. Plays like Macbeth reflect James's Scottish heritage and his interest in witchcraft, while other works, including King Lear, explore themes of kingship, succession, and the burdens of power, ideas central to the monarchy. London under James continued to thrive culturally, but the monarchy and court set the tone for the arts, influencing both what was performed and how playwrights like Shakespeare navigated the stage. In 1605, England was rocked by the Gunpowder Plot, an attempt by Catholic conspirators to blow up Parliament and assassinate King James I. The plot was discovered before it could be carried out, but it deepened Protestant fears and heightened the sense of political tension throughout the kingdom. Shakespeare, now a prominent playwright and a member of the King's Men, wrote and staged plays in this charged environment. His tragedies from this period, including King Lear, Othello, and Macbeth, explore themes of betrayal, ambition, and the fragile nature of power, reflecting the anxieties of a nation living under threat of conspiracy and political upheaval. In Hamlet, Shakespeare delves into the depths of human consciousness. The famous soliloquy, "To be or not to be, that is the question," captures the prince's contemplation of life, death, and the suffering inherent in existence. Through these lines, Shakespeare revealed his profound understanding of human nature and the moral dilemmas faced by individuals in uncertain times. London itself continued to grow as a cultural and economic hub, but the city's theatres, while thriving, operated under careful scrutiny. Playwrights had to navigate both the tastes of the public and the sensitivities of the monarchy, ensuring that their works entertained without offending royal authority. During these years, Shakespeare also began to focus more on complex character studies and moral dilemmas, likely influenced by the unstable and often dangerous political landscape around him. While his fame and financial success grew, the tension and uncertainty of Jacobean England left an imprint on his storytelling, giving his late works a darker, more introspective tone. By the 1610s, Shakespeare had achieved fame and financial security. He invested in property and returned more frequently to Stratford-upon-Avon, stepping back from daily theatre life. His wife, Anne Hathaway, remained a central figure in his domestic life, overseeing their household and family affairs. On the 23rd of April, 1616, William Shakespeare died at the age of 52. By modern standards, this seems young, but in the early 17th century, life expectancy was much lower, and adults were often exposed to disease, poor sanitation, and the stresses of urban life. Though the exact cause of his death is unknown, some historians suggest it could have been a sudden illness or infection. Anne outlived him by 7 years, dying in 1623. Even in death, Shakespeare left a legacy that would far outlast his years. His plays and poems captured the complexity of human ambition, love, betrayal, and morality, reflecting both the turbulence and the triumphs of the England in which he lived. His words would resonate through centuries, making him not only the Bard of Avon, but a voice of his nation and time. William Shakespeare died in 1616, but his influence only grew. England soon faced political upheaval, King James I's later reign, the Civil War, and the execution of Charles I. Yet his works endured, preserved by colleagues and admirers in the First Folio of 1623. Shakespeare's genius lay not only in his stories of love, ambition, and betrayal, but in his insight into human nature. Intelligent, observant, ambitious, yet practical, he understood both society and the stage. These qualities allowed him to craft characters and narratives that resonate across generations. Through his comedies, histories, and tragedies, Shakespeare captured the turbulence and triumphs of Elizabethan and Jacobean England while exploring universal human experiences. Even amid the upheavals of the 17th century, his words continue to inspire, entertain, and provoke thought, proving that true genius transcends time.